finished his Starbucks and his cigarette, and he said, I'm going to do 800 pounds. And they thought, are you sure about that? Yeah.
And he did. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Hudson.
And we're better known as the Buff Dudes. Two dudes who love lifting weights, and part of the genesis of our journey was our love of film.
And today we're going to be covering some of the movies which have been instrumental in inspiring us to help build our physiques. Whether it's an epic montage, a build we admire, or plots involving the sport of bodybuilding itself, we've selected a group of movies which, when you watch them, will no doubt have you either rushing to the gym to get your pump on or falling to the floor to perform a set of push-ups in a quest to better yourself. Here we go. And before we begin this list, we want to give a huge thanks to TLF. We're wearing their clothes. We love their stuff. They make for great fitness apparel. And if you want to grab some of your own, head to tlfapparel.com. Use our code TLF-buff to get 15% off. We're starting this list with a film series which is a rite of passage for bodybuilders transitioning to acting, and that is the Hercules series. Hercules. First popularized by Steve Reeves in the 1958 Italian sword and sandal classic Hercules, it's a perfect vehicle for an actor, usually with more muscles than acting skills, to show off their chops. Chops being biceps. And these may not be art film classics by any means, but if you have any interest in fitness, you've no doubt been inspired by either Steve Reeves or the many others who followed in his footsteps, including Reg Park, Lou Ferrigno, or most recently, The Rock. This was probably one of our first exposures to the sport of bodybuilding itself. Our dad growing up was a huge Steve Reeves fan, so very early on he told us, you've got to watch these movies. And thankfully, we were young enough to not realize just how cheesy they really were.
I wanted you to notice me. I want to become like you, Hercules. And I'm sure you'll succeed if you have a strong will.
You have that memory of it, and then you rewatch and you're like, it's not quite as good. But as a kid, since you're so small, you see a guy like that, you're just like, he's massive, he's so huge.
It was really the Godzilla movies and the Hercules movies growing up, and they were all dubbed. So we had an odd understanding of English growing up.
Absolutely.
Arguably the most influential kung fu movie of all time, 1973's Enter the Dragon not only helped to inspire multiple generations to aspire to a physique such as Bruce Lee's, it also showcased one of the earliest instances of mixed martial arts in mainstream media, and inspired future fitness-themed classics such as the enormously popular anime Dragon Ball Z. Bruce Lee was not only a practitioner of martial arts, but also a bodybuilder as well, subscribing to early muscle magazines himself and logging his workout routines in meticulous detail. This movie was influential for many reasons, as we just discussed, and what is absolutely crazy about Bruce Lee, which I only knew recently, is he was an aspiring amateur bodybuilder. You can still find his workout logs, you can see some of his progress pictures he took. He was a student of many things, including working out.
Yeah, inspired a lot of people over the years, and you'll see the almost stereotypical now poster of Bruce Lee in a lot of people's either gyms or houses because he was so much of an inspiration. And Jackie Chan was also in that movie as well, Enter the Dragon, which is pretty cool as a stunt double. You can even see him in that movie if you pause it.
No fitness list would be complete without the documentary which helped take bodybuilding to the mainstream, and that's why we've included 1977's Pumping Iron, which is not only an excellent look at the sport, but also one of the greatest documentaries of all time. In it, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno go head-to-head physically and psychologically as they prepare for the 1975 Mr. Olympia, each playing oversized versions of themselves in roles they've never been able to top since. Endlessly quotable and endlessly inspiring, this is one we've watched too many times to count. All right, Brandon, take it away.
Yeah, this is probably something that is held very close to my heart, just because I saw it at a very young age, 14, and inspired me so much to really get into bodybuilding, you know, along with obviously my dad and brother. But it was finally like a look at professional bodybuilding, especially in the golden era, and it was something so new to me. Like, I had really no idea about bodybuilding, how it worked, or the golden era of bodybuilding, so it was like the first introduction to all of that. And the greatest thing is they came out with a DVD about it, which had all the behind the scenes too, so it added even more content, which was amazing as well. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. It's entertaining, it's inspiring, and it's just fun to watch.
With an incredible 1/3 of the movie's 90-minute length being training montages, and set to the best soundtrack of all time, 1985's Rocky IV features iconic locations, a cast of all-time fitness greats, an obligatory 1980s USA vs. Russia storyline, and a David vs. Goliath showdown between Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren. If it hasn't already, this one needs to be wrapped up in an American flag, shot into space, and used as a first contact tool for aliens. It'll either scare the hell out of them or inspire them to get off their alien asses, blast no easy way out, and start chopping wood in whatever their version of the Siberian wilderness is.
Just imagine a bunch of alien Stallones coming because they were so inspired. They're like, hey, how's it going?
It's gonna be first contact. Hello, aliens. Yeah, you do. Like, whoa, shit.
They're super fucking jacked.
He found Rocky IV.
Yeah. That's how they actually take over Earth because they've been training from the movie. And they're super jacked.
Change, and you can change, and we can all change. So, Sylvester Stallone aliens, we'll see you in about a decade or two. What happens when you take a 7-time Mr. Olympian, a Navy SEAL turned wrestler, a former NFL player, a porn star, a Vietnam vet, the writer of Lethal Weapon, and a dude who eats Green Berets for breakfast? You get 1987's Predator, our pick for the manliest cast of all time, and quite possibly the manliest movie of all time. And here's where it gets even better. Even they're no match for science fiction's greatest alien hunter of all time, the formidable Predator who picks them off one by one, played by the late, great Kevin Peter Hall, a former basketball player who stood at an intimidating 7 feet 2 inches.
This movie had like an aura about it because we watched little scenes on TV, and it's so heavily edited on TV because it's such an extremely violent movie that you're just like, what is this? You know what? And then I don't even remember when we finally got to watch the full version of it. It
was like you've been
away.
looking at a meal for years, and then you finally got to take part in it.
Man, what a meal that was!
Hell yeah! This is my personal pick for my favorite movie on this list because we're discussing inspirational fitness movies, and for me personally, this was the one that inspired me to get in the gym. Again, camaraderie. You see Carl Weathers, Arnold, Jesse Ventura, all working together as a team.
And they're all so jacked.
They are.
I mean, Carl Weathers. When he's kind of pulling that rope, finally helping him out, kind of building that trap, you just see all his like muscles like striating.
Carl
and stuff.
Weathers
Crazy,
was smart because his was more of a tease.
That's true.
So when he finally unveiled the muscles, you went, "Damn, even Dylan's jacked."
Yeah. A cast of just awesome dudes.
Hell yeah. Frequently listed among some of the greatest movies of all time, 1999's Fight Club is also responsible for a phrase still uttered in every gym across America to this day. I want the Brad Pitt in Fight Club body.
My history with this movie is that I was a personal trainer for 10, 12 plus years, and some of that time was being a personal trainer in LA, and one of the things I always heard, if a new client came in and wanted a specific look, you'd just be like, hey, what's your goals? And it'd be like, I want the Brad Pitt body from Fight Club. And it's still to this day, man. I mean, this movie's like 24 years old now or so. So that's how much of a lasting impression Brad Pitt had on a generation.
And that just goes to show you, that's why this list, we've included a lot of movies which maybe aren't bodybuilding movies, but all it takes is one iconic scene. I don't even really think that scene lasts for more than 5 to 10 seconds, but it just left such an impression that, as Brandon was saying, even to this day, that is the look that a lot of people are after. So it's well-deserved on this list.
Yeah.
In the early aughts, we saw a major shift in the process of selecting buff dudes for movies. No longer was Hollywood searching for them to fill a role, they were instead creating them for the role. One of the earliest instances of this was 2004's Blade 3. We had to include this movie in the list because, as we said, it marked a big shift in the way movies were made. Before, if you wanted a buff dude in a movie, you had to find an Arnold Schwarzenegger or a Sylvester Stallone. Instead of finding them, now they were just building them, and they've really done that ever since.
Yeah. And it's not a very good movie, honestly.
No, it's not.
I ate a lot of garlic, and I just farted. Silent but deadly.
Continuing the trend of actors bulking up for movies, Zack Snyder, like everything Zack Snyder does, took it to the next level, enlisting an entire army of half-naked men to get into fighting shape for 2006's 300. Led by Gerard Butler, who transformed from a scrawny Phantom of the Opera into the imposing King Leonidas, the movie was not only a commercial hit, but also had the millions who watched it consider a wide range of ways to get into shape, ranging from CrossFit to bodybuilding to airbrushing their abs, in order to look good in something as little as a BC-era leather banana hammock. This was the Halloween costume of choice.
Yeah, exactly.
For anyone who is even mildly a buff dude for about a decade.
Oh yeah, and the spray tan also inspired a lot of people.
We're on to the last movie on our list, which features the most popular superhero of all time getting his montage on. In 2016's Batman v Superman, the cape is finally pulled back and we get a first-hand look into how Bruce Wayne molds his body, and he does it old school, performing squats, tire flips, and pull-ups, in the process reminding us that even billionaires have to work damn hard to get into shape.
This was a long time coming, I feel like. No one's shown Batman training.
That's the only part I consider the movie.
For sure.
It's another one which is not really a classic by any means.
Yeah, it wasn't really well received, and I think I watched it once in the theater. We watched it in the theater together, and we both fell asleep. That's why you can't remember it.
Yeah, I watched the montage, and I said, my work here is done, and then I just fell asleep. So there you go, some of the most influential fitness films of all time.
Yeah, some that are really good films, and maybe some that aren't the best films, but still are very inspiring.
Yes, scene,
exactly. It's all it takes sometimes,
10 seconds, it justifies it being on.
Because then you just watch that 10-second clip and then you're good. You only got to watch the 2-hour long movie.
So until next time, stay buff.